I was walking around and then I came across this place called UniClutch, which is actually kind of interesting, and I wanted to show you guys. Maybe you won't think it's cool, maybe you will think it's cool. Either way, I think it's kind of sick. Okay, it's a modular clutch, right, that can go onto pretty much any sort of application, because what they do is they take the flywheel that you have in your car and they pretty much turn it into a mounting surface that you can then put a twin clutch setup in. And all you have to do is connect a spline to it that's gonna make it, you know, work with your application, and then you have a twin clutch setup. That's the entire pitch. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, I spent the last hour trying to figure out how the whole thing works, or to like figure out if it's more complicated than that, but it's not. There's like 4 pieces to it. This goes in there, this locks onto this, and then now you've got something that can handle as much horsepower, torque as you want. Now, since we're talking about a clutch, horsepower doesn't matter. I totally get it. Now, you might be wondering, Alex, that's not how that works. Something's gonna break. Bullshit, asshole. No one likes the pizza here, because this is Ford. This is something that you're gonna see all the time in a system. And if you're like, oh my gosh, is it gonna actually work for my setup? They have like little spacers that come with every application kit for your car. You get all these sort of things to make sure that, hey, if this spline doesn't work, try this spline. If this spline doesn't work, you can try this one. And it's vehicle specific, which means when you buy one of these, it's gonna ask you a bunch of questions to figure out which one you want, which they apparently have 4. They have the normal version for the normal boys and girls if you don't like to have fun. Then they have the sport version if you like to have a little fun, but you still wanna have that OEM feeling. Then you have the track version. That one's super fun. That's where we're gonna be partying at. And then they also have a 4-terrain one for people that like trucks. Gross. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about a couple more things because I just think this is neat. I have tried to switch out clutches in the past and it's been like the worst possible experience in my life, mostly because I get really nervous and I don't know the way that it goes. This goes on your flywheel, and when you go to install it, like when you go to buy the thing, they'll tell you exactly where everything needs to sit. So you don't have to guess. Now, for people that are actual mechanics, for people that build their cars constantly, you're gonna be looking at me and you're gonna be like, wow, Alex, I already know how to do that. Great for you, okay? But for 90% of the world that's modifying a car for like the first or second time, they don't even know what they're looking at when you look at something like this. So when you have instructions that say, hey, your mounting point is gonna be G, and you can just like put it up there, you put that on there, and then you install it and you're good to go. I have found it very crazy that as you go into modifying your car these days, it's gotten more difficult to do like the basic stuff because there's so many people out there doing wild applications. They're doing wild stuff that you almost feel like you have to get a really expensive clutch or a really expensive component to make something work. And with this, you're essentially getting a dual clutch setup at a single clutch plus flywheel price. This whole thing is assembled. You're good to go. You don't lose any torque by using this assembly. Everything works pretty much flawlessly and it all comes out of the box ready to go. A lot of people sell a bunch of shit all the time. You get it, I get it. It's just how the world works. But when you buy something and they support the installation and the instruction manuals are actually written in a way that allow you to understand it, it makes it really nice. So we're gonna probably try this out on a future build that I haven't told anybody about yet, but you guys are gonna wanna let me know your thoughts on it because I think it's interesting and you should too, especially if you're going to change out your clutches, because a lot of times people get really crazy with this whole setup and they made it really simple.